Okay, so before I begin the class, I just want to quickly encourage everybody to place your emails in our website, the subscription section on the bottom. We send out a weekly Parsha paper, which is really, really well done, with very high articles, very high quality articles written by myself, other Rabbeim who are part of Tzion Breslov, and some of the students of Tzion Breslov. I just finished my article, so hopefully it's going to be edited and put together and sent out to everybody. It's on Hibodedut this week, so it should be very relevant to everybody who joins these classes and watches and is looking for more encouragement and wisdom into how it works and why it's helpful. So highly suggest that if you watch these classes, you enjoy these classes, you have from these classes, that you also read the writings that we put out and send them to your friends and family as well. They're accessible, they're easy to understand, they're simple, but they don't lose the depth of Rabbi Nachman's teachings, and they give you a different element than we're able to bring you through via the platform of Zoom and YouTube and all of this stuff. And also it's just a nice way for Shabbat, to have a nice cup of coffee, some chocolate, have a nice article to encourage you and give you hope and faith and joy and excitement and feeling close to Hashem. So we've heard a lot of positive feedback. So just go to the website, put in the bottom. If you can't find it, email us at sionbreslovproject@gmail.com. Email me at Rabbi Kalmus @gmail.com. Text me, call me, whatever. We got to get the teachings out. Rav Natan, the main student of Rabbi Nachman, says that in his time that the printing press came to be, which was about 250 years ago, which was 20 years ago actually, he saw this very much as one of the signs of the impending Geula of redemption. Somehow, this platform, this format of having teachings not just be oral, but be written down and given out to all of humanity, to anybody who wants to read it, accessible and read and studied worldwide. He saw this very clearly as a sign of the coming redemption, of the coming of Mashiach. And so we have the ability to play a part in that. So let's do our best to do so. And obviously we're going to have a lot from it, B'ezrat Hashem. So we are towards the conclusion of lesson 11, Likutey Moharan. And what we learned in last week's class is that in truth, this upper and lower unity that Rabbi Nachman is saying is so essential to be able to experience deep Torah understanding, which is really a code for deep connection to Hashem, because we know that Hashem and the Torah are one. So to have deep amkus, to have depth of understanding in the Torah means to really know Hashem, and to know Him means to be one with Him. So you need a high degree of unity to be able to experience that. And Rabbi Nachman says that this high degree of unity has two levels. The higher level is called Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, the same thing that we say when we wake up and when we go to sleep, that we teach our children when they're first able to learn anything about Hashem, anything about the Torah. The last words often that part from a Jew's mouth before they pass away, that they said in the camps before they were brought to the gas chambers, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Listen, Jewish people, Hashem is God, Hashem is one. Everything is part of Hashem's unity, His oneness. So this, Rabbi Nachman says, is only accessible to a person who has achieved a high level of Shmirat HaBrit, that he has mastered the area of sexuality as it relates to spirituality. According to the dictates of the Torah, when a person has reached a high level of mastery in this area specifically, he gets to see Hashem in a very deep way. This is hinted to from a couple of weeks ago, where Avraham Avinu, right, was the first Jew. He was also the first person to have a Brit Milah. And as soon as he had the Brit Milah, so it says he saw Hashem Vayera. So the Or HaChaim points out that it's not a happenstance or a coincidence. It's B'zchut, in the merit of the Brit Milah, he was able to see Hashem immediately. And we know that Yitzchak Avinu, who's the very first Jew that was born a Jew, right? So he had a Brit Milah on the 8th day. So he was the first person to have a Brit Milah in the way that we still do now, thousands of years later. Why is that the very first act that a Jewish boy has to have in their coming into this world? And the answer is because your whole purpose of your life is in order to be able to experience Hashem in a real felt way. And that is all done through the Brit Milah. Okay? So that's the upper unity. But like somebody texted me actually a few hours ago, it seems like it's very hard to understand how the Zohar can say that only a tzaddik can experience Hashem, and he's only a tzaddik according to the Zohar because of the Brit Milah. What if a person's a bad person and he's achieved high level of Shmirut the Brit? He has a tremendous level of mastery in the area of sexuality according to the Torah, but he's just not a good person. He doesn't do anything else in a way which is commendable or appreciated by those around him. So why is he considered a tzaddik? A tzaddik is a high spiritual master. It's something unbelievable and difficult to obtain. So the reason is because that quality of Shmirat Brit is only the upper part of the Brit. There's a lower part of the Brit. And this is the learning and the keeping of the mitzvot. So where do we see any connection between this upper version and this lower version? So we see it in Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Shem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. We experience Hashem's unity and oneness. That's all coming through that higher level of Shmirat Brit. But then once you see Hashem, we whisper, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchut Olam V'ed. That Hashem is all over. His light, His revelation is all over existence, right? And as a result of that, if Hashem is everywhere, why would I not want to connect to Him through the ways in which He says that we're capable of doing so? That's called the mitzvot. Like the Zohar says about the 613 mitzvot, that they are 613 pieces of Eitzah, 613 pieces of advice that we received at Har Sinai to be able to connect to this infinite reality. So this is the lower level. And therefore, when you have both, that is Shmirat Brit and the constant learning and keeping of the mitzvot, as a result of these two things, then you come to deep Torah understanding. This is also hinted to, by the way. If you look in the very beginning of the Torah, it says, Bereishit bar Elokim et hashamayim v'et haaretz. In the beginning, Hashem created all spiritual and physical reality. However, this first word, Bereishit, it's taught in, I believe it's Tikkuni Zohar, it says that it's actually, if you flip the letters around, it's Brit Eish, the Brit of Eish. Okay? B'schut, the Brit, Hashem created everything in existence, meaning for the person, for the tzaddik, or for the tzaddikah, who achieves this high level of unity, both upper and lower, Hashem created all of the world. And this is the secret of the Gemara that says that Hashem created the world bishvili, only for your sake. Only for your sake did Hashem create the whole world, and you need to say it every day that you wake up. But only for your sake when you achieve the potential for which you were created for in your life. That deepest potential is what Hashem created the world for. And you'll notice that how many mitzvot are there? There's 613. If you'll notice, the gematria for the word Brit is 612. If you add the actual word Brit itself, you get to 613. So in fact, the 613 mitzvot and the Brit Milah are one entity, and that's what we're learning very deeply. That the upper unity of the Brit, that's also 613. And the lower unity of actually learning and keeping the mitzvot, that's also 613. So it's really one entity, and it's for the sake of this that Hashem has created reality. Okay? Now Rabbi Nachman says, there's a pasuk, it says, from the distant corner of the earth, we heard songs. Tzvi l'tzadik, wonders and glory to the tzaddik. But I said, Razili, there's a secret to me. Razili, there's a secret to me. This is all from Yeshaya. We know that Yeshaya is the prophet of redemption because he's constantly speaking about the coming of the Mashiach, the Geula that's going to take place, what it's going to be like then. So a lot of our knowledge about what it will be like in the days of Mashiach, it comes from Yeshaya. And this beginning of what he says here is, Rabbi Nachman speaks about elsewhere as well, is deeply reflected in the Geula, that it says, from the distant corner of the earth, we heard songs. Okay, so we're not going to focus on that first part, although Rabbi Nachman deals with it elsewhere. He's going to say now the second part. That is tzvila tzaddik. The tzaddik, he has some type of specific kavod, some type of specific honor or glory that's attributed to only him. And it's b'schut, it's bemerit of the fact that Razi li, there's a secret to me, there's a secret to me. So now Rabbi Nachman says, Ze bechinat razin, v'ze bechinat razin de razin. There's a concept of razin secrets, and there's a concept of secrets. Hu bechinat halacha. This is the concept of halacha. That Jewish law, which is often considered bland and onerous and seemingly unnecessary in its exactingness. So in truth, like we said last week, but I think I made a mistake last time, don't tell anybody, that halacha is the gematria of kli, vessel, right? Even though halacha seems on the external side to maybe be dry or an unnecessarily bound, incumbent reality that's placed upon me that I don't want to have to do these things, or they just seem trivial or not relative to me, not relevant to spiritual life, but really they're a kli. Why? Because they're called razin. Halacha is called secrets. It's not what it looks like. Razin de razin. And then you have the secret of secrets. Hu bechinat Kabbalah. That's the concept of the secrets of the Torah, Kabbalah. Hidlabshut the Kabbalah b'halacha. And these secrets, they are enclosed within halacha. Hu bechinat hanhagat HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'sheshet yemei hachol. This is the concept of Hashem, that he's guiding all of reality through the 6 days of the week, which are ending right now. And these 6 days of the week are corresponding to halacha. They're corresponding to Jewish law. Just like Jewish law is difficult to understand, it's something that's challenging to be able to grasp. It's something that we're not always up for. We don't always want to either learn or do. So too, the days of the week are like that. They're challenging. They go up and down. Oh, 1 second. You guys still there? Nobody hung up? I'm just going to assume you are. Okay, great. So these 6 days of the week are considered halacha. The same way that halacha is difficult to grasp and sometimes to enjoy, so too the week. The days of the week are like that. This is all called the lower unity. And that's why at the end of the pasuk it says, Tzvila tzaddik, the glory of the tzaddik. Razi li, there's a secret to me, there's a secret to me. Meaning what makes him a tzaddik is kedusha zivug, is his level of kedusha in the area of sexual union. Yesh bo shnei razin, there's 2 secrets in his mastery of sexuality. Hu yichudi la, that's the upper unity. Ve'yichuda tata, that's the lower unity. Meaning simply, shem bechinat halacha ve'kabbalah. This is the concept of halacha, Jewish law, and Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism. Bechinat razin, ve'razin de razin. This is the concept of secrets and the secrets of secrets. Rabbi Nachman stated in a way that's like very bewildering, if I didn't write Likutey Moharan, which we know is the deepest secret to the Torah, that many tzaddikim have said this is even deeper than Zohar, it's even deeper than Tikkuni Zohar. There's nothing as deep as Likutey Moharan. And yet Rabbi Nachman wrote that if he never wrote Likutey Moharan, he would have wrote a Perush, he would have wrote a commentary on the whole Shulchan Aruch, on the code of Jewish law. That seems like a complete opposite revelation of one's Torah knowledge than Likutey Moharan, right? Who are the people who usually learn Jewish law that intensely? They're not necessarily often the people who are learning the deepest depths of the Torah, at least not externally to others, right? But in fact, the depths of Torah, the depths of Hashem, the depths of his unity is to go to explain that at the very most external and sometimes even driest part of Jewish life is really brimming with the secrets of Kabbalah. And there's no distinction between the two, except that one is the secrets and one is the secrets of secrets. And this is one of the reasons why Rabbi Nachman, before he passed away, he said in his last will that every Jewish man and woman should take a time every day before they go to sleep, that they learn Jewish law. Now, for a person who is a Jewish mystic, who is a spiritual master, who is a Kabbalist on the level of the Arizal and the Baal Shem Tov and the Vilna Gaon and all of these great giants, you would think he would say, study my Likutey Moharan every day, study Zohar every day, study Eitz Chaim every day. But he says, no, you should study Halacha every day. And most people say that the simple understanding is because you don't really know what Hashem wants from you if you don't learn Jewish law, and that's true. But the deeper part is that Kabbalah is enclosed within Halacha. Jewish secrets, the secrets of the Torah, are all enclosed within the laws of the Torah. And so by learning those laws and living with them, you are connecting to the secrets of the Torah. And this is what it says in Masechet Chulin. That the Sar HaOlam Amru, that there is, so to speak, this spiritual master in the world, not Hashem, but we know that according to the Gemara, according to Zohar, it's speaking about this angel that we spoke about before called Metat, that during the 6 weeks of creation, the 6 days of creation, during the 6 days of every week, Hashem doesn't run the world on his own. He uses Metat. He encloses himself within this angel, the spiritual entity Metat, and he runs the world through Metat. So in this case, Rabbi Nachman says that Metat is like Halacha, because we're not seeing Hashem as he is. We're not seeing him through the secrets of the Torah. We're seeing the external Jewish law, which seems to be divorced of godliness. It seems to be separated from spirituality. And in truth, there's no distinction. Hashem only encloses himself during the week so that we can have free will, so that we can choose by enclosing himself within Jewish law. Because if we were all able to connect to and experience the secrets of Torah without having to achieve a high degree of spiritual mastery, then you will not have chosen to become a tzaddik. You will not have chosen to become a spiritual master. You wouldn't have chosen Hashem, because when a person knows, he doesn't choose anymore. One time Rabbi Nachman was with a person and he said, I want you to convince me of Hashem so much that I don't have a choice anymore. I just want to live with it. I want to believe so much that I don't have a choice. I'm just going to want to go do it, whatever he says. And this is not so dissimilar from all of us. And Rabbi Nachman responded in his witty, punny way, was as was his usual, far be it from the servant to be different than his master. Meaning that him as the servant, he should not be different than Hashem. That even though Hashem could take away our free will, he could take away our ability to choose, he doesn't. He maintains it. He cultivates that free will. He uses all of the circumstances of your life to continuously give you this status of Bechira, of free will. This is what Hashem cherishes more than anything, that you choose good, that you choose him. Not that you just blindly follow, or that you, through ignorance, decide to cast away other things in your life. No, Hashem wants you to become as informed, as knowledgeable, as deeply in tuned as possible, and to overcome the challenges and difficulties that permeate our life and choose Hashem. So Rabbi Nachman says, you don't think I could take away your free will? I could take away your free will. I could take away your disbelief, but far be it from the servant to be different than his master. Okay? So too, we learn that during the 6 days of the week, Hashem, so to speak, sets things up to give us the highest level of free will possible by making the level of unity of Hashem like halacha. Sometimes it's dry, sometimes it's hard to perceive where Hashem is in it, just like in our life during the week. But then all of a sudden Shabbat comes and we see Hashem, and we see that he runs the world, and we see that even though we take a day off from the week, we don't lose anything, we only gain because of it, right? But that experience of Hashem is actually the same exact experience in the 6 days of the week. We just don't experience it because it's hiding. It's enclosed within Metat. It's enclosed within this Malach of Hashem. So now, this Gemara in Chulin, it speaks about how when Metat, on the third day of creation, when Hashem said to the trees that they need to be only with their own kind, that they only can reproduce from their own species, the grass learned from this in a kal v'chomer. Kal v'chomer means that in this situation that is more lenient, all the more so when it's more stringent, we should follow it. Okay, so let's say, for instance, I'll give you an example. Let's see, what's a good kal v'chomer? Okay. The Torah says that even when, let's say, you don't feel well, you should put on tefillin every day. Every Jewish man should put on tefillin every day. Let's say he has a headache, right? Right. The Torah doesn't say necessarily, even though it does say that if a person's sick, he doesn't have to wrap tefillin. But let's say, for instance, he has like a minor headache or he has like a minor disruption, okay? So the Torah says he should still put on tefillin. But let's say, for instance, he has no distraction or he has no issue, he has no complication, and he's able to do it easily. So kal v'chomer, all the more so, he should put on tefillin, right? In this situation in which it's more difficult, it's more strenuous, and still you need to put on tefillin, then there's this principle of learning from the Torah that all the more so when you don't have that challenge, you need to put on tefillin. So too here we see that the trees are more spread out, and there's less of them. They need to be with their own kind. The grass learned from this, all the more so that we are very close to each other, and there's many of us that we need to be according to our own kind. Just as trees that they are very high and spread apart, and Hashem said to them that they still need to be according to their own kind, to reproduce according to their own species. So to us, that we're katanim, that we're small, techufim, and we're near each other. That we need to go according to our own kind. And then Metat, this angel which controls the 6 days of the week, says that the kavod, the honor of Hashem, is universal. It's everywhere and it's forever. What's the connection between trees being together with their own species and grass deciding through a kal v'chomer that they should do the same thing? And then the angel Metat says, wow, the kavod of Hashem, the glory of Hashem, it's unbelievable. That these, in truth, that these big trees that are really, they are a metaphor for tzaddikim, spiritual masters, that they are far apart, far in between. There's not so many of them, right? That their zivugim shouldn't be close to each other. Rak mishabat l'shabat, only from Shabbat to Shabbat. Like we said, the Gemara says that when a person achieves a high enough level of spiritual mastery, that he should really only have union with his spouse on Shabbat, not during the week. So they're like the trees, that they're spread far apart and they don't join together all the time, but they join together with their own kind on Shabbat. Gam lahem zehira haTorah al shmirat habrit. He says, but the Torah still gives tremendous warning that these people need to maintain their high level of shmirat habrit. They need to protect themselves very much in this. Like the pasuk says, V'shamru v'nei Yisrael Shabbat. Like we're all going to say B'ezrat Hashem the Shabbat, that the Jewish people, we keep the Shabbat. And Rabbi Nachman says, Roshei Tevot, the first letters of B'nei Yisrael et Shabbat is Bia. Bia is a word in the Torah that's used for sexual union. What does sexual union have to do with keeping the Shabbat, that the Jewish people keep the Shabbat? Meaning to say that the tzaddikim, they're only having their bia, they're only having sexual union when v'shamru, when they're keeping Shabbat. And not only when they're keeping Shabbat, v'shamru, that they need to make sure that they safeguard this. Because this is something which is not easily experienced, and this is not something which is easy to maintain, but it needs tremendous focus and concentration constantly. That I am making sure that I am upholding this level that I have achieved and only increasing in it. Kamuva b'kavanot, like the Arizal brings down in Sha'ar Kavanot, Haina, Sha'afal Pish Zivugu, Hu Rak Mishabat Shabbat. However, even though the tzaddikim, their zivug, their union is only from Shabbat to Shabbat, Afal Piken, even though that's the case, still tzarich shmira gedola. They still need tremendous shmira. They still need tremendous safeguarding. This is the concept of Vashamru. B'nai Yisrael et Shabbat, the Rosh Tevot, the first letters of B'nai Yisrael et Shabbat spells bia, meaning sexual union, but still Vashamru, that they need to do tremendous safeguarding to make sure that they are holding up to this level of zivug on Shabbat. That's the higher unity of Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. That's the ability to see Hashem at the highest level, like the tzaddikim see Him. Kol sheken hakatanim. All the more so, you have that the smaller grass, not the trees, meaning the simple Jewish people, us, the ones who are learning the teachings of these tzaddikim. Shem bechinat t'shayin, that with the concept of grass, shezivugim to chufim, that we are near, we're not far and small in number, but we're very much alive, and we have we're many in number, right? Therefore, the Torah says, then we could be with our spouse any day of the week that we want. Why? Because we're like grass. We're constantly near each other. We're not like trees that we're far apart. We only come together on Shabbat. We're able to do so whichever day of the week that we want. But then all the more so that we need to make sure that we're shmirat brit, because we have the ability to be together more often. Then we need to make sure that we have a higher level of safeguarding of the area of sexuality. That we need to, at the very minimum, keep the mitzvot of the Torah, not to get to this highest level of only being with our spouse once a week, but to make sure that we don't waste seed, to make sure that we're not doing anything which is against the dictates of the Torah within the confines of the room with our wives, right? All of these different things. So all the more so by us, that we need to be according to our kind. And this is the real reason why that the angel Metat, that he controls the 6 days of the week, meaning the grass, the Shayim, that's the concept of the lower unity of Baruch Shem Kavod Malchut Olam Va'ed. Patach V'amar, he's the one who says, Yechi Chavod Hashem. There's the glory of Hashem. There's the honor of Hashem. Kavod Daika, his honor specifically. Because by both levels having Shmirat the Brit, meaning that the tzaddikim, they're only having union with their wives on Shabbat, and that the general populace of the Jewish people is having union with our wives during the week and not moving outside of the realm of the Brit or the laws of the Torah as relates and dictates sexuality. Hakavod b'shleimut. Then a person's honor is b'shleimut. And the secret of this is that a person's ego is what gets in the way of them having reverence for Hashem. Why? Because as long as I'm filled with myself, I have no ability to experience something greater than me. So to the degree that I'm able to diminish my ego, right, to dissolve my ego, to that degree I can experience something limitless like God, like Hashem. What is the greatest act of dissolution of the ego? What's the greatest act of dissolving this external self? The Brit. That instead of engaging in physical acts only for physical pleasure alone, not for any greater reason, not for any more spiritual or profound or meaningful reason other than the fact that it makes me personally feel good, And even though it may hurt others around me and myself in the long term or the short term, that doesn't matter because it makes me feel good. So when I am able to sacrifice this part of myself so that I can achieve a deeper connection within myself, so I can see something deeper inside of me than something which is temporal, something that's spatial, something that's bound in space and time, that's limited, then through this I can experience the infinite light of Hashem. And that's the concept of Shmirat HaBrit. That's the real secret of why Rabbi Nachman is so emphatic with us, that we need to make sure that we are Shmirat HaBrit, not just the tzaddikim, but even the general Jewish people, because it's this ability of achieving the Brit that draws down unity. And that unity comes by way of our selflessness, our dissolution of ego, because now that we can perceive Hashem in our life, we can see the unity of God in the world. This is the reason why we go visit tzaddikim, to try to get advice, to try to get our questions answered. What is it that they perceive that we don't? They see Hashem. Why do they see Hashem during the week, even though we only see him on Shabbat? So the reason is because they have this highest level of Shmirat HaBrit. So now they see him everywhere all the time. And as a result of that, what's the main quality of a tzaddik? That he's humble. And we think that humility or lack of humility comes only from society or culture or generation. And it's really not that. The less that a person has Shmirat HaBrit, the less that a person safeguards his sexuality according to the dictates of the Torah, the more Rabbi Nachman teaches that his ego increases. His desire for self-gratification, his desire for self-affirmation, all of lack of self-confidence, all of these things are drawn from Pagama Brit. But when a person achieves a very high degree of sexual mastery, then he has achieved this highest level of bitul, of nullification of ego. And now he has created a space for Hashem in his life, because now it's not about him, it's about something greater than him. And then when he does that, he can have kavod of Hashem. And Rabbi Nachman says that once a Jew has kavod of Hashem, now when he speaks to him, it's going to change him. Because sometimes people come to talk to Hashem and there's no change within them. There's no effect that's taken place and they don't understand why. And the reason is because their speech is talking, but they're not speaking, Rabbi Nachman says. Not all talking is speech. Right? Like that, I remember I heard in a movie once, was it? You hear me, but you ain't listening. so too here. Sometimes you talk, but you're not speaking. Because speech, like the moon, has no light of its own. The light of speech comes from the Brit. When a person is Shmirat HaBrit, when he safeguards his sexuality, then instead of wasting seed, that seed enters into his speech. I know this is very Kabbalistic, but try to stay with me. And then that speech is what allows him to transform into tshuva and to come back and to elevate to the highest spiritual levels and to get to deep Torah understanding. Nimsa, consequently, and through these two levels of Shmirat HaBrit, meaning this upper level of safeguarding one's sexuality and this lower level of learning and keeping Jewish law. This is the concept of the upper unity and the lower unity. The concept of trees and grass. Gedolim and Katanim, the concept of the great and the small. Zivuk shel Shabbat, the Zivuk shel Chol, the concept of union only on Shabbat and union during the week. Bechinat halacha v'Kabbalah, the concept of halacha and Kabbalah. Razin v'razin derazin, the secrets and the secrets of secrets. Azai kabo b'shleimut. Then the honor of Hashem is complete, because now that I've achieved this highest level of bittul, ego nullification, through the means of safeguarding the Brit and keeping the mitzvot, then as learning and keeping the mitzvot, then as a result of that, then the kavod of Hashem is complete. And now one's speech becomes illuminated. And then through that illuminated speech, every Jew is capable of achieving deep Torah understanding, meaning deep knowledge and felt experience of the oneness and the light and the unity of Hashem. Does anybody have any questions from today's lesson? Did anybody hear the lesson?
Yes, Rob, we heard you.
Okay, don't sound more excited, Lior.
I'm excited. Trust me.
I just got up at 4 a.m. for you guys, and all I heard is, we heard you. Thanks a lot. Give me something, somebody. Question, anything. Come on, you guys figured it all out? That's it?
Rabbi.
Crystal. Yeah.
You were 2 classes ago about spreading. We have opportunity to spread. We have every right to spread Reb Nachman's teachings.
Right.
And you really inspired me too, but I would say it out loud that I started a small little WhatsApp group, like 20 friends, and it's like expanding, but like I do a little small class every morning, like 3 minutes, restore my soul for Reb Nachman, all like about Reb Nachman's teachings, all because of you. You kind of.
Wow. You made my day and my week. Thank you, Josh.
I appreciate it.
Where do you live?
I live in California, actually.
Wow. Where in California?
I live in the Valley, in Encino.
Yeah, I went to UCLA for graduate school, so I'm familiar. So listen, Josh, keep it up. You're doing something, geuladik, redemptive.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Of course. I'm very happy for you. Keep doing what you're doing.
I like your style of teaching, by the way. I'm really big supporter of Gedalia, and he got me into your classes, and it's different energy. This is like.
Thank you so much. Moshem. Gedalia is a good friend, and he does an amazing job, and he's literally he's an inspiration to everybody. So
you do what you do also.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Josh. Okay,
Rob.
Keep spreading the light. Yes.
So Josh gave me some chizik. So after we get off of this here, I'm gonna send you something. Me and Laduro have been working on something, and we kind of wanted to release it. It's got everything to do with Breslov and Rabbi Nachman, and it's going to be in the form of some videos. We started a little podcast. So before we release it, we want your blessing on it to see, what it is we need to do or need to change. But just as soon as this is over, I'm gonna send you 3 videos. It's gonna take you some time to watch them, but just let us know what you think.
Okay, I will do. I'm very excited and very happy for you guys. Amazing. Okay, spread the light. We got another question here on the bottom. Let's see. Can you give us a practical application example? Yes, very good question. Thank you, Chaya, for bringing me down to earth. Okay, practical. What do I take away from this class? Number 1. That Rabbi Nachman says that every person should have a little bit of time each day that they learn halakha, they learn Jewish law. And maybe in the past I wasn't interested, or it doesn't seem applicable to me, especially maybe not if I'm a woman and certain mitzvot only apply to men, or men and certain mitzvot only apply to women. But Rabbi Nachman says you should learn all of Jewish law. And just take a little bit of time every day where you learn the Shulchan Aruch, the code of Jewish law. So why was he so emphatic? The reason is because really learning the mitzvot and keeping them is part of the Brit. And the Brit is what allows you to experience Hashem in your life. So that's one factor. And then the other factor is to continuously, like we were always speaking about, working on achieving a higher level of degree of mastery in the area of our connection to the physical world. Am I doing this physical act because it feels good only, or am I doing this physical act because it's bringing me sustenance, it's bringing me energy, it's bringing me joy, it's allowing me to achieve higher levels of closeness to Hashem? Am I eating food because it only tastes good, or am I eating food so I can have energy to go pray, to go learn, to go help another Jewish person, right? So when a Jew uses the physical world as a means for a higher experience, that's called Shmirat Brit. And Pagama Brit, the blemish of the Brit, is when we use the physical world for physicality alone. So, but when we do it for spirituality, that's called the upper level of the Brit. And when we have these two levels of learning and keeping Jewish law, and also working to reorient our relationship with the physical world, so that to use it as a means towards spirituality, not as an end in and of itself. By doing these two things, then when you go talk to your Hashem and your Hibodadut, then those words will actually change your life and bring you very close to Hashem. That's the simple advice. Does that make sense, Chaya? Okay, I'm going to take your silence as tacit approval. Anybody else? Oh, good. Yes, thank you so much. Anybody else before we hang up? Okay, I'm proud of you guys. I'm excited for all your projects that you guys are really invested in. It's amazing. Keep me updated. Definitely looking forward to seeing that WhatsApp group, and if you want to add me to it so I can see what's going on over there. And also to the podcast that Lior and Daryl are working on. I'm really, really excited to see that as well. And please, again, make sure that right after this, you go on the website, you put your email in so you can get our Zion Breslov, a breeze Parsha paper, so that you can feel the breeze of the best love Breslov on Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, guys.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi. Thank you.
Of course, you're welcome.